Hello peeps, so welcome along to part 3 of my 5TB low to mid-end masters collection. So I realised in the last couple of videos I didn't even actually show you where the games went, so we'll have a look at that now. So anyway, you come up to your computer, go into your drive where Retrobat's installed, go into the Retrobat folder, ROMs folder, and this is where all your games are kept. So we'll go down to Xbox, so I didn't show you that on the last video, that was the last video I did. Double click, and as you can see here, this Sneaking is the only XBE file game that I had, which is CXBX Reloaded emulator runs this file. All the other games in here are ISO files, which are basically run by the ZEMU emulator. But some of these are named different to what you'd regularly call them. Your PSX is obviously your PlayStation. I don't know why they can't just call it a PlayStation to make it easier. NDS is obviously your Nintendo DS. Your N64 is obviously Nintendo 64. GB, Game Boy, it's just... 3DS is your Nintendo 3DS. It's just a different naming system basically, which isn't great at times. Like the Adam up there, I believe it's made by Colico or something like that, so... Anyway, into the Gamecube. So as you can see, these are all RVZ files in the Gamecube. That's the file I use. That's I believe it's the best one. I'm pretty sure it is. So if you come into the images folders here, this is where all your artwork's saved, all your box art, your logos, stuff like that, and obviously videos. This is where all your videos saved. It'll take a little while to load up. It's not a very powerful computer. We're using the Dell Optiplex 3040 i5 3.2 GHz processor, and it's got an NVIDIA T400 graphics card in. So looking at the file types, if we come out and go into the emulators folder, into the Dolphin Emu folder, and load up Dolphin, you're going to see all your games here. Now if you highlight some, so if we click the top game and then shift and click, right click on them, convert selected files. Now you can convert them. If you're ISO files and you want to convert them to the RVZ file, you can do it all here. Just click it, click convert. It's going to ask you where you want to put the games, and Dolphin automatically does it for you. I believe these you just leave them as they are. The compression level is 5. And the Z standard is the recommended one. Now all the different types of file types are all listed here, and they tell you what they do, and basically the RVZs, if you read there, look, it's pretty much the best one. So let's move on. So now we'll have a look at configuring the system, and I'm going to show you basically how I go about it, which is I'll try a game, I'll knock the resolution up. If it starts to stutter or if the frames per second drop in any way, I'll knock it back down. We'll try and find a sort of average for this system. Obviously this is how I'd do it on my own system. I'd configure the games the best I could, and then I'd pick an average and I'd go with it. So as you can see here when we're scrolling, if you look at Red Faction 2, the bottom left hand corner, there's no box art for it. So we'll scrape this. Screenscaper is the one that hasn't got the box art, so these other two have got one. One's a 3D box art, which is this one, the middle one's just the 2D, so I'll download that, and as you can see in the bottom left hand corner, it puts the box. Same again here with the SeaWorld game, there's no box art, so again, we'll scrape it. But another thing is, if you go into this edit games metadata, if you come down to the box art itself, now if you've got a picture, wherever you acquire it from, whether you download it or you've got one, if you come into your folder, go back, find the Gamecube folder, now click inside here, go into images. Now if you save the box art in here, you can just go down and select it. So if there's any scraper that doesn't find a piece of artwork that you want, you can manually put it in and choose it from there. But I'm going to scrape it now. And as you can see, this one's got the 3D box art. So there we go, it's there in the bottom left hand corner. So press your back button, come down to Advanced System Options. Now if you go into the emulator, you can see we've got Dolphin or Liberto Dolphin. We're going to be using the Dolphin. The Liberto Dolphin is basically the retro arch core. Decorations, we're going to go with none here. If you want the decorations, they're here. This is basically the borders that'll be around if you're using a 4.3 ratio system. We're going to try it at 16.9 at first. Instead of the 4.3 is the standard size, obviously 16.9 is widescreen. We'll try it on the internal resolution 1x, which is basically the native resolution. This is how I configure my games. This is how I configure my systems. I come in and have a look at them, and I'll just notch them up on the games that I know that are most demanding. Auto configure controllers is on. Now here the video mode basically makes no difference to the gameplay whatsoever. Now the widescreen act, I've got this set on no. It used to be called a widescreen act then. It also used to tell you that it breaks some games, but it doesn't tell you now. So we'll have a look to see how this affects certain games. And obviously these both do what they say on the tin there. They're going to take longer to load up, but they might make a game run a little bit better. Now, when it comes to the filtering and anti-aliasing and stuff like that, I don't really bother with it, to be fair. Because I believe we're upscaling the system anyway, so even if these was to make the games look that little bit better, as you see, it says that they break games, so it's just no point for that tiny bit of a difference. You know, you're upscaling the games anyway, so they look a lot better than standard. Same with all these in the emulation. A lot of them are saying could break the game, so it's just no, for me it's just no point. They run absolutely fine without messing about with them. We'll just go with the upscaling. We'll be having the user interface, we'll be having the show frames per second on in the top right hand corner so we can see how the game's running. Obviously we'll want to hit the 60 frames per second or the 30 frames per second at certain titles. And also when the drivers here, we'll be using the DirectX 12, which I know is the better core, to be fair. Vulkan is not bad in places, but overall the DirectX 12 is the one. And also, if you want to change your A and B button, you can just click this instead of going in and configuring it in Dolphin, and it'll automatically change them there. So we'll start off, we'll look at James Bond 007 Agent Under Fire, and we'll try it with 1x resolution on the DirectX 12 core. Now as you can see speed-wise, it's running absolutely fine. It's a 30 frame per second game. Now it looks a little stretched with the 16:9 ratio, which we'll have a look at in a minute. So now we know that's running full speed. We'll come out and we're going to try it on 2x 720p.
This is SAS Evac 1. ETA 60 seconds.
As we've knocked the resolution up, it's running full speed again. Absolutely fine and perfectly playable. Looking really good. So we'll come back out again. We're going to advanced game options. Knock it up to 1080p. And again, it's still keeping its full speed, 1080p, running absolutely fine. So we'll flick it over to the Vulkan core, same resolution. And with the Vulkan core, still it seems to be running perfectly playable. You'll get mixed results with the Vulkan core and the DirectX 12 core. Sometimes the Vulkan and the DirectX core both run absolutely fine. Moving on to Beyond Good and Evil. Where the Vulkan core, we're still set at 1440p. This is one of the more demanding games, and as you can see, it's dropping down to 51, 52 frames per second at the time. It wasn't massively noticeable on the game, it was probably still playable, to be fair. So having a quick look at Beyond Good and Evil with the OpenGL core. And as you can see, it's totally unplayable, not even worth looking at. Now we're on the DirectX 12 core, 5 times resolution. As you can see, unplayable, dropping down to about 36, 37 frames per second. So moving on to F-Zero, DirectX 12. Then we're at the 1440 resolution, running absolutely fine. But again, the 16 banana resolution looks a little bit weird, a little bit stretched. It also affects how you play the game. Because it's a stretch, I think it makes the game harder to play, to be fair. So as we come out, we're going to Advanced System Options. We're going to go down to the video setting. And in the widescreen mode, we're going to turn the widescreen hacks on. And as you can see, it looks loads better, and it also seems to be a lot more playable. You don't seem to be bouncing off the wall so much because you've got more of a full screen. On to gun as well, DirectX 12, 1440. We've got the widescreen hack on. Running absolutely fine. No dips, no stutters, running absolutely perfect.
This way.
Lord of the Rings, again, DirectX 12, 1440. Bit all over the place, dropping down to anywhere down to 37 frames per second at the time. It's a little bit weird. It's obviously there's a lot going on the screen with all the characters, so when there seems to be less characters, it seems to run a lot faster. Now just to have a look, this is the same game running at 4K, and as you can see, the frames per second barely changes whatsoever. You know, you're still dropping down. It's probably dropping down a little bit, but it's still dropping down to a similar sort of number to as it was on the 1440 resolution. Doing this testing, it's looking like probably 80 to 90% of the games are going to run fine at the 1440 setting with the DirectX 12 core. So now I'll just shut up, I'll let the games play, and I'll put the information on the screen to what core and resolution that the games are running in.
Get ready. Fight!
Well, as you can see here on the Matrix game, there's some weird like shadowing and graphical issues. Now I know the widescreen hack can cause this, so we'll go and try and turn it off to see what happens. Well, as you can see, that seems to have done the trick. No more graphical issues. But like a kipper here, I forget to turn the widescreen hacks back on, so for the next few games that widescreen hack will be turned off.
And round one is underway. Anchondo with a solid blow. He connects after a great move. He smirks as if to say, I got skills. He's cocking his punches, proving he's found his rhythm now. Oh, that punch shocked him.
Mario! Mario!
So here on Need for Speed, the Vulcan core seemed to run a lot better than the DirectX 12 does. This was the only game that I tested which was like this. So again here with Mario Sunshine, the widescreen hacks are causing graphical issues. There's some weird shadows going on. So turning off the widescreen hacks here, it solves the problem, but it looks a little weird and too stretched. So there's a couple of things we can do here. We'll go into the advanced game options. We're going to change the aspect ratio back to 4:3. Then we're going to go into decorations and turn on the default unglazed Gamecube borders. Now as I go to load the game, the ratio is all over the place here. It's like quarters the screen. And this is because my monitor is a 2560x1440 monitor. So we'll go in and we're going to change it to 1920 with 1080 in the video settings. This is going to solve this issue. Loading the game up, it looks a little bit basic, but it's better than having nothing there, I suppose. So we'll try the next little thing. So if we come out of the game wheel and open up the main menu, we go down to updates and downloads and click the bezel project. Now this is going to populate any available systems that you've got installed. We're going to click the Gamecube one and install it. Now this is going to find any games that are in your ROMs file folder and try and find a border for them. Now we'll go back into the advanced game options, decorations, change it to the bezel project, and now we'll have a look at the Mario borders. Ooh, pretty! So Wave Race is another title that suffers from the graphical issues with the widescreen hacked enabled. Now when I changed the ratio on this one, I forgot to change the video resolution and it actually crashed the system, totally locked the computer up. I had to restart it. So we restarted, put the ratio to 4:3, enabled the bezel project, and this is how it looks.
And pass that buoy correctly. Nice. That's it. You just started turbo. Good one.
So that's it, folks. Like I said earlier, most titles are going to run easily on the 4x 1440p setting, and a lot of titles will even let you run at 4K even in this little system. But for me, the one I'm going to go with, which is the absolute best optimized setting, would be the 3x 1080p setting. You know, pretty much everything's going to run perfectly at this setting, and the difference between the 3x and 4x is barely noticeable at all, to be honest. So another thing that you could do, you could set this setting to the 1920 by 1080p 3x. Do that in the advanced system options, then it's going to apply to every single game. But then if you did want to play a certain title and you wanted to knock it up to the 4x resolution, then you could just go into the advanced game settings and do it just for that one title. Also, obviously there's going to be a lot more games that are affected by the widescreen hacks being enabled. I've just shown you the ones that I've found by clicking through. Basically then, that's going to be down to personal preference. Some might want to play the game stretched, but at least you've got an option now. So Gamecube is a great little system with its little baby discs, and it's emulated really well with Dolphin, and it looks really good upscaled. So again, I'll wrap it up. If you like this video, you take anything from it at all, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe, and build my channel up. I really want to hit that 1,000 subscribers, and the next video we're going to be doing is the PlayStation 2. Until next time, peeps.